I never thought I'd be the kind of guy who'd have to choose between my wife and my mother. That's the stuff you see in bad sitcoms or read about in relationship advice columns. But here I am, sitting in my car outside a lawyer's office, wondering how the hell my life turned into this mess. My name's not important, but for the sake of this story, let's call me Jake. I'm 34, married to the love of my life for 6 years, and up until 3 months ago, I thought I had it all figured out. Good job in IT, nice house in the suburbs of Phoenix, a wife who makes me laugh every single day. Life was comfortable, easy even. Then my mom got sick. Not life-threatening sick, but enough that she needed help. Stage 3 kidney disease, the doctors said. She'd need dialysis 3 times a week, help with groceries, rides to appointments, someone to check in on her daily. My dad passed away 4 years ago from a heart attack, so she's been living alone in the same house I grew up in, about 20 minutes from where my wife Emma and I live. I'm an only child. There's no siblings to split the responsibility with, no cousins nearby who could pitch in. It's just me. So naturally, when Mom got the diagnosis, I told her I'd help. Of course I would. She's my mother. Emma was supportive at first. "We'll figure it out together," she said, squeezing my hand across the dinner table the night I told her. Family takes care of family. I should have paid more attention to the way she said family. Should have noticed the slight hesitation, the way her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. But I was too focused on my mom, too worried about her health, too caught up in being the good son. The first few weeks were manageable. I'd leave work a little early on dialysis days, pick Mom up, sit with her during treatment, then drop her home. Emma would have dinner ready when I got back, usually around 8 or 9 at night. We'd eat, watch something on Netflix, go to bed. Rinse and repeat. But then Mom started asking for more. "Jake, honey, could you mow the lawn this weekend? It's getting so long and I can't push the mower anymore." "Jake, the kitchen faucet is leaking again. Could you take a look?" "Jake, I'm out of groceries. Would you mind picking some things up for me?" Each request seemed reasonable on its own. She was sick, she needed help, and I was her son. What kind of person would I be if I said no? So I didn't. I said yes to everything. And slowly, week by week, my time with Emma started shrinking. Date nights became maybe next week. Morning coffee together turned into me rushing out the door to check on Mom before work. Our Sunday ritual of sleeping in and making a big breakfast became me heading to Mom's house to do yard work or fix whatever had broken that week. Emma started making comments. Little things at first. "You're at your mom's house more than you're here." I feel like I'm married to a ghost. "When was the last time we had a conversation that didn't involve your mother?" I'd brush them off, tell her she was exaggerating, promise that things would calm down once Mom adjusted to her new routine. But things didn't calm down. They got worse. My mother, bless her heart, has always been particular. She likes things done a certain way. Growing up, she'd redo my bed if I made it wrong. She'd reorganize the dishes I'd put away, because they weren't in the right spots. My dad used to joke that she should have been a drill sergeant. Now, with her illness, that controlling streak had gone into overdrive. And she'd decided that Emma was doing everything wrong. It started with comments about our house. "Jake, I drove by your place yesterday and noticed the front garden looks a bit neglected. Maybe Emma could spend less time at that gym and more time keeping the house nice." Then it was about Emma's cooking. "You look thin, sweetheart. Is Emma feeding you properly? You know, when your father was alive, I always made sure he had a proper hot meal every night." Then it escalated to Emma's job. "I don't understand why Emma needs to work such long hours. Doesn't she know that a wife's priority should be her husband? You're running yourself ragged taking care of me because she's not taking care of you at home." I'd defend Emma, of course. Tell Mom she was out of line, that Emma worked hard and was a great wife. But I'd do it gently, carefully, because Mom was sick, and I didn't want to stress her out. The doctors had said stress could make her condition worse. Looking back now, I realize I was more worried about my sick mother's feelings than my healthy wife's. That was my first mistake. But it wouldn't be my last. 2 months into Mom's diagnosis, Emma started pulling away. She'd go to bed early, claiming she was tired. She'd make plans with friends on the weekends, leaving me to handle Mom's needs alone. When I tried to talk to her about it, she'd just say she was fine, everything was fine. She just needed some space. I didn't push. I was too tired to push. Between work, taking care of Mom, and trying to maintain some semblance of a normal life, I was running on fumes. I told myself Emma was just adjusting, that she'd come around once she saw how much Mom needed me. Then came the night everything fell apart. It was a Thursday. I'd promised Emma we'd have dinner together, just the two of us. No interruptions. I'd even made reservations at her favorite Italian restaurant downtown. I was determined to show her that she was still my priority, that I could balance everything. At 4:30 p.m., my phone rang. "Mom, Jake, I don't feel well. I'm dizzy and nauseous. Can you come over?" I looked at the clock. If I left work right then, I could check on her, make sure she was okay, and still make it to dinner by 7. I told my boss I had a family emergency and headed to Mom's house. When I got there, she was lying on the couch looking pale. I checked her blood pressure with the monitor her doctor had prescribed. It was a little low, but nothing alarming. I got her some water, made her some tea, settled her in with a blanket, and her favorite TV show. "I'll call you tomorrow to check in," I said, glancing at my watch. 5:45. I could still make dinner. "Wait," Mom said, grabbing my arm. "Could you just stay a little longer? I'm scared to be alone when I feel like this." The look in her eyes. It reminded me of when I was a kid and had nightmares. She'd sit on the edge of my bed until I fell back asleep, no matter how long it took. How could I leave her when she needed me? "Just until you feel better," I said, sitting back down. I texted Emma. "Mom's not feeling well, running a bit late, should still make it by 7:30. Emma replied, "Okay, just okay. No, hope she's all right, or take your time, just okay." I should have known then. At 6:30, Mom finally dozed off. I waited another 15 minutes to make sure she was really asleep, then carefully stood up to leave. Her eyes opened. "Where are you going?" "Dinner with Emma, remember? I told you about it." "Oh." Her face fell. I thought, never mind. Go ahead. I'll be fine here alone. The guilt hit me like a truck. Here was my sick mother, vulnerable and scared, and I was going to leave her alone so I could go eat overpriced pasta. I texted Emma again. "Mom's really not doing well. I'm going to stay with her a bit longer. Can we reschedule?" This time, the response took 5 minutes. "Sure." One word. Sure. I stayed with Mom until 9, when she finally seemed stable enough for me to feel comfortable leaving. By the time I got home, Emma was in bed, door closed, lights off. I stood outside our bedroom door, hand on the knob, knowing I should go in and apologize. But I was so tired. Physically, emotionally, mentally exhausted. I told myself I'd make it up to her tomorrow. I slept on the couch that night. When I woke up the next morning, Emma was already gone. There was a note on the kitchen counter. "We need to talk. Tonight. 6 p.m. Don't be late." The way she'd underlined, "Don't be late," made my stomach drop. I got through work on autopilot, my mind racing through possible conversations. Maybe she wanted to talk about taking a vacation, just the two of us. Maybe she'd decided she wanted to start trying for kids. Maybe she just needed me to hear her out, really hear her, about how hard the last few months had been. I didn't let myself think about the alternative. At 5:45, I was pulling into our driveway. Mom had called twice that afternoon, but I'd let it go to voicemail. Whatever Emma needed to say, I owed it to her to give her my full attention. She was sitting at the kitchen table when I walked in, and the look on her face told me everything I needed to know. This wasn't going to be a good conversation. Emma didn't say anything at first. She just sat there, hands folded on the table, looking at me with an expression I couldn't read. I sat down across from her. "Emma, I'm sorry about last night. Mom was really sick and—" "Stop." Her voice was quiet but firm. "Just stop, Jake." I closed my mouth. She took a deep breath. "I can't do this anymore." Those 5 words hung in the air between us. "Can't do what?" I asked, though I already knew. "This, us, the way things are." She looked down at her hands. "You're never here, and when you are, you're not really present. Every plan we make gets canceled because your mom needs something." "She's sick, Emma. What am I supposed to do?" "I know she's sick, but I'm your wife. Doesn't that count for something?" "Of course it does." "Does it?" She pulled out her phone. "Do you know how many times you've canceled on me in the last 2 months?" 14 times. I wanted to argue, but I couldn't. She was right. "Last week was our anniversary," Emma continued, her voice cracking. 6 years. You texted me happy anniversary at 10 p.m. because you were at your mom's house. We didn't celebrate. Shame washed over me. I'd completely forgotten. "I'm sorry," I said weakly. "I'll make it up to you." "No. No more promises, Jake. I don't believe them anymore." "That's not fair." "What's not fair is that I've been patient for 2 months. But you don't see me anymore." Emma's eyes were wet now. "Your mom called me last week. Did you know that?" I froze. "What?" "She called to tell me I wasn't being a good wife, that a proper wife would understand that a man's mother comes first." Tears spilled over. "And I think you believe that too." "I don't—" "You do. Every time you choose her over me, you prove it." She wiped her eyes. I thought by now we'd be talking about starting our own family. Instead, I'm playing second fiddle while she criticizes everything I do. "I've defended you." "Have you? Really? You just try to keep the peace. You never actually stand up to her." She was right. Again. "I love my mom," I said finally. "But I love you too. Love isn't enough if you're not willing to set boundaries." Emma stood up, and I noticed a suitcase by the door. My stomach dropped. "What's that?" "I'm staying at my sister's for a while." "Emma, please. I'm not leaving you. Not yet. But I need you to understand how serious this is." She grabbed her purse. "I need you to set boundaries with your mother. Real ones. Because right now I don't feel like I matter." "You do? Then prove it." She picked up the suitcase. "I love you, Jake, but I won't be second choice in my own marriage." Then she left. I sat at that table for an hour, staring at nothing. My phone rang. Mom. I stared at it, letting it ring. For the first time in 2 months, I didn't answer. It rang again, and again. By bedtime, I had 7 missed calls and 3 voicemails. I didn't listen to them. The next morning, Mom called again. I let it go to voicemail. At lunch, I finally listened to her messages. First, Jake, honey, are you okay? Call me back. Second, Jake, I need you to pick up my prescriptions. Call me. Third, ignoring your mother is unacceptable. I'm sick, Jake. What if something happened? I deleted all 3. That afternoon, Mom called again. I answered. Finally, she said. Where have you been? I was at work, Mom. I need you to come over. The garbage disposal is broken. I can't today. Silence. What do you mean you can't? I mean I can't. I have other things to do. What's more important than helping your sick mother? I took a deep breath. Mom, we need to talk about boundaries. Boundaries? I need you to stop calling me every day with things that aren't emergencies. And I need you to stop saying negative things about Emma. I never said, yes, you did. You called her and told her she wasn't being a good wife. Well, she's not. She should be taking care of you. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Emma is a good wife. You don't get to criticize her. I'm your mother, and she's my wife. That means she comes first. The words were out before I could stop them. But once I said them, I realized they were true. Mom was silent. When she spoke again, her voice was cold. After everything I've done for you, you're choosing her over me. I'm not choosing anyone. I'm prioritizing my marriage. Don't come crying to me when she leaves you. That girl was never good enough for you. She hung up. I sat in my car, hands shaking. I'd just had my first real argument with my mother. It felt terrible and liberating at the same time. That night, I texted Emma. You were right, I'm sorry, I'm going to do better. She replied an hour later. Actions, not words. She was right. Again. So I started making changes. The next week was the hardest of my life. I set clear rules. I'd visit Mom twice a week for dialysis and emergencies only. Everything else, broken appliances, yard work, grocery runs, she'd need to hire help for or ask friends. She didn't take it well. The calls became more frequent, more desperate. Jake, I can't afford to hire people. Jake, I'm your mother. How can you abandon me? Jake, you're going to regret this when I'm gone. Each call was harder to ignore than the last. But I held firm. Emma stayed at her sister's for 2 weeks. We texted occasionally, brief exchanges that felt formal and distant. I missed her terribly. On day 15, I showed up at her sister's apartment unannounced. Emma opened the door, surprised. I hired a home health aide for Mom, I said. She comes 3 days a week. I also found a handyman service and set up grocery delivery. Mom's upset, but she's managing. Emma crossed her arms. Okay? And I told her that if she says one more negative word about you, I won't visit at all. That she needs to respect my wife, or lose me. I took a breath. I should have done this months ago. I'm sorry. Emma's expression softened slightly. What did she say? She hung up on me. Haven't heard from her in 3 days. And how do you feel about that? Guilty, relieved, scared. All of it. I looked at her. But I know I made the right choice. Because you're my family too. You're my future. And I almost lost that. Emma was quiet for a long moment. This can't just be for 2 weeks, Jake. This has to be permanent. I know. Your mom is going to test you. She's going to have emergencies, real or manufactured. And you're going to want to cave. I know, I said again. But I won't. Not anymore. She studied my face, searching for something. Whatever she saw must have satisfied her, because she finally nodded. Okay, I'll come home, but we're doing couples counseling. Whatever you need. And if things slip back to how they were, they won't. If they do, she continued firmly, I'm gone. For real this time. I mean it, Jake. I understand. Emma came home that night. We didn't magically fix everything. There were still hard conversations, still moments of tension. But slowly, we started rebuilding. Mom eventually called. She was cold at first, punishing me with silence and short answers. But when she realized I wasn't backing down, she softened. We established a new normal. Scheduled visits, clear boundaries, mutual respect. It took 6 months before Mom apologized to Emma. It wasn't a great apology, more of a, I'm sorry if I offended you, than a real acknowledgement of wrongdoing. But Emma accepted it gracefully, and they began building their own relationship, separate from me. A year later, Emma and I were stronger than ever. We'd learned to communicate better, to prioritize each other, to set boundaries without guilt. Mom was healthier, more independent, and had actually made some friends through her support group. Last month, Emma told me she was pregnant. When I called Mom to share the news, she cried. Happy tears this time. I'm going to be a grandmother, she said, voice full of wonder. You are, and I need you to promise me something. Anything. When this baby comes, you're going to respect Emma's choices as a mother. You're going to be supportive, not critical. Because if you can't do that, you won't be part of our lives. There was a pause. Then, I promise. I've learned my lesson, Jake. I don't want to lose you again. You won't, as long as we all respect each other. After we hung up, Emma came up behind me and wrapped her arms around my waist. You did good, she said. We did good. She kissed my cheek. I'm proud of you. It took you a while to get here, but you got here. Almost lost you in the process, but you didn't. And that's what matters. Looking back, I realize how close I came to destroying my marriage. How easy it is to let family obligations blind you to what really matters. Mom will always be my mother, and I'll always love her. But Emma is my partner, my future, my choice. And now, finally, I'm choosing right. The next week was the hardest of my life. I set clear rules. I'd visit Mom twice a week for dialysis and emergencies only. Everything else, broken appliances, yard work, grocery runs, she'd need to hire help for or ask friends. She didn't take it well. The calls became more frequent, more desperate. Jake, I can't afford to hire people. Jake, I'm your mother. How can you abandon me? Jake, you're going to regret this when I'm gone. The guilt was crushing. Every time my phone rang with her number, my stomach twisted. But I held firm, because every time I wavered, I thought about Emma's face when she'd left. The pain in her eyes, the resignation in her voice. On day 3 of the new boundaries, Mom called at 2 a.m. My heart jumped. This had to be an emergency. I answered immediately. Mom, what's wrong? Are you okay? I can't sleep, she said, her voice small. I'm scared, Jake. What if something happens to me in the night and no one's here? I sat up in bed, fully awake now. Mom, have you called your doctor? Are you having symptoms? No, I'm lonely and scared. Can't you come over? Just for a little while? I closed my eyes. This was it. The test Emma had warned me about. Mom, I love you. But it's 2 a.m. and you're not having a medical emergency. If you're feeling anxious, you need to call the crisis line number your doctor gave you. I'll come see you tomorrow at our scheduled time. Tomorrow? I could be dead by tomorrow. Mom, fine, don't worry about your dying mother. Go back to sleep with your precious wife. She hung up. I didn't sleep the rest of that night. I kept checking my phone, terrified I'd see a call from a hospital. But nothing came. The next morning, I drove to her house for our scheduled visit, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. What if she really had been in danger? What if I'd made a terrible mistake? She answered the door, looking perfectly fine. Annoyed, but fine. You came? She said, sounding surprised. I said I would. We sat in her kitchen, the silence heavy between us. Finally, I spoke. Mom, last night wasn't fair. You can't call me at 2 a.m. because you're lonely. I'm sick, Jake. I'm allowed to be scared. You are. But there are appropriate ways to handle that fear. You have a therapist. You have the crisis line. You have friends from your support group. I took a breath. You can't use me as your emotional support animal anymore. Her face flushed red. Emotional support animal? Is that what your wife called me? No. That's what I'm calling this pattern. You're using your illness to manipulate me, and it has to stop. How dare you? I love you, Mom, but you're not dying tomorrow. Your doctor said with dialysis and proper care, you could live another 20 years. That's wonderful news. But it also means you need to build a life that doesn't revolve around me dropping everything whenever you're uncomfortable. She stared at me, mouth open. I'd never spoken to her like this before. I'm hiring you a home health aide, I continued. 3 days a week. Her name is Patricia. She starts Monday. I don't need... Yes, you do. And I've also signed you up for the Senior Center's activity program. They have art classes, book clubs, exercise groups. You need to make friends, Mom. Real friends. Not just your son. You've got this all figured out, haven't you? Her voice was bitter. Your wife snaps her fingers, and suddenly I'm the problem. Emma didn't snap her fingers. She left. She packed a bag and left our home because I was so busy catering to your every whim that I forgot I had a wife. My voice broke slightly. I almost lost her, Mom, the most important person in my life, and it would have been my fault. Mom's expression shifted. For the first time, she looked genuinely concerned rather than defensive. She left? She's at her sister's. Has been for a week. Oh, Jake. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. I didn't know. I didn't think it was that serious. It is that serious. And it's my fault for not setting boundaries sooner. But I'm setting them now. I stood up. I love you. I will always love you. But Emma is my wife, my partner, my future. If I have to choose between making you comfortable and keeping my marriage intact, I'm choosing my marriage. I walked to the door, then turned back. Patricia's number's on the fridge. The senior center schedule is there too. I'll see you Thursday for dialysis. As I drove away, my phone rang. Mom, I let it go to voicemail. Emma stayed at her sister's for 2 weeks total. We texted occasionally, brief exchanges that felt formal and distant. I missed her so much it physically hurt. I stuck to my boundaries with Mom. Twice a week visits only. No 2 a.m. calls. No emergency requests for non-emergencies. The first week, Mom called Patricia the help and complained about everything she did. The second week, I got a text from Patricia. Your mom invited me to stay for tea today. We had a nice chat. Progress. On day 15, I couldn't take it anymore. I showed up at Emma's sister's apartment after work, holding a folder full of papers. Emma opened the door, surprised. "Jake, I have something to show you." I held up the folder. "This is the contract with Patricia's agency. 3 days a week, guaranteed through the end of the year. This is the receipt for Mom's senior center membership, paid for 6 months. This is a copy of the email I sent to my entire family explaining the new boundaries." Emma took the folder, slowly flipping through the papers. "And this," I pulled out my phone, "is a text from Mom's friend Carol saying Mom actually laughed during bingo yesterday. Carol says she hasn't seen Mom smile like that in months." Emma looked up at me, eyes shining. "You really did it." "I should have done it 2 months ago. I'm sorry it took me so long. I'm sorry I almost lost you before I figured it out." "What changed?" "I realized that being a good son doesn't mean sacrificing my marriage. And I realized that Mom is actually capable of being independent. I just wasn't letting her." I took Emma's hands. "She's managing, not just surviving, actually managing. And our marriage is more important than her convenience." Emma's lip trembled. "Say that again." "Our marriage is more important than my mother's convenience." She pulled me into a fierce hug. "I missed you so much. Come home, please. On one condition. Anything. Couples counseling, starting this week. Already booked, Tuesday at 6 p.m. I made sure it's a time that doesn't conflict with Mom's dialysis schedule, so there's no excuse to miss it." Emma laughed through her tears. "You really thought of everything." "I almost lost you, Emma. I'm not making that mistake again." She came home that night. The house felt complete again with her in it. We didn't magically fix everything. Our first counseling session was rough, with both of us crying more than talking. But we showed up. Week after week, we showed up and did the work. Mom tested the boundaries exactly like Emma predicted. 3 weeks after Emma came home, Mom called crying that she'd fallen and couldn't get up. I panicked, ready to rush over. Emma stopped me. "Call 911 first," she said calmly. "If she's really hurt, that's what she needs." I called. The paramedics found Mom sitting on her couch, perfectly fine. She admitted she'd exaggerated because she wanted to see me. The paramedics' report noted, "No injuries found, patient stable." I didn't visit that week as punishment. Mom was furious, but she got the message. Slowly, painfully, we all adjusted to the new normal. Mom made friends at the senior center. Patricia became more companion than caretaker. Mom even started volunteering at the hospital, visiting other dialysis patients who didn't have family support. 4 months after Emma came home, we had dinner at Mom's house. It was the first time Emma had been there since everything happened. "Thank you for coming," Mom said stiffly as we sat down. Emma nodded, equally uncomfortable. Dinner was awkward at first, painfully polite conversation about weather and traffic. Then Mom set down her fork. "I owe you an apology," she said, looking directly at Emma. "A real one." Emma straightened, surprised. "I was horrible to you. I criticized you, undermined you, and tried to come between you and Jake." Mom's voice shook slightly. "I told myself I was just looking out for my son, but the truth is I was jealous. Jake was all I had after his father died, and when he married you, I felt like I was losing him." "You weren't losing him," Emma started. "Let me finish, please." Mom took a breath. "My therapist, yes, I'm seeing a therapist now, helped me understand that I was trying to keep Jake dependent on me because I was afraid of being alone. And in the process, I almost destroyed his marriage and drove him away forever." She looked at me, then back to Emma. "I'm sorry, truly sorry. You're a wonderful wife to Jake, and I had no right to make you feel otherwise." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you. That means a lot." "I don't expect us to be best friends," Mom continued, "but I hope we can start over. Try to build something real instead of all the toxicity from before." "I'd like that," Emma said softly. The rest of the dinner was easier. Not perfect, but better. As we left, Mom hugged Emma for the first time ever. 6 months later, Emma and I were sitting in our living room when she handed me a small wrapped box. "What's this?" "Open it." Inside was a pregnancy test. Positive. I stared at it, then at Emma, then back at the test. We're having a baby." Emma was crying and laughing at the same time. Surprise. I pulled her into my arms, overwhelmed with joy and terror, and everything in between. "I love you so much. I love you too. And Jake, I'm proud of you, of us, of what we fought for." When I called Mom to tell her, she cried happy tears. "I'm going to be a grandmother," she said, voice full of wonder. "Oh, Jake, this is wonderful." "It is. And Mom, I need you to promise me something." "Anything." "When this baby comes, you're going to respect Emma's choices as a mother. You're going to be supportive, not critical. If she asks for your advice, you'll give it. If she doesn't, you'll keep it to yourself." I paused. "Because if you can't do that, you won't be part of our child's life." The line was quiet for a long moment. Then, "I understand, and I promise. I've learned my lesson, Jake. I don't want to lose you or Emma or my grandchild. I'll do better." "We all will," I said. 9 months later, we brought our daughter home from the hospital. Mom visited, bringing a handmade baby blanket she'd worked on for weeks. She held her granddaughter with tears streaming down her face. "She's perfect," Mom whispered. "She is," Emma agreed, smiling. Mom looked at both of us. "Thank you for not giving up on me, for setting boundaries even when I fought them. I'm a better person now because you forced me to be." "We're all better now," I said, wrapping my arm around Emma's shoulders. And it was true. The road had been hard, brutal even. There were still moments when old patterns tried to resurface, when Mom pushed boundaries or when I felt guilty for prioritizing my wife. But we'd built something stronger than before, something honest. My daughter will grow up knowing that love includes boundaries, that family means respect, not control, that it's okay to choose your partner even when it's hard. Emma and I named our daughter Grace, because that's what saved us, the grace to forgive, to change, to start over. Mom babysits once a week now, and she's wonderful with Grace. She follows Emma's rules, respects our decisions, and has become the grandmother I always hoped she'd be. Last week, Emma's sister asked her if she regretted giving me that ultimatum. "Never," Emma said without hesitation. "It was the hardest thing I've ever done, but it saved our marriage. Sometimes you have to be willing to lose someone to find out if they'll fight for you." I fought for her, for us, and I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Because in the end, choosing your spouse isn't betraying your parents. It's honoring the commitment you made. It's building the family you chose. And that choice, that's what love really looks like.